because it's changing the way that I'm interacting with everybody else because of the fact that I'm having ideas about connections that don't exist yet. So here's the good outcomes from bad decisions, right? Let's play. Um, Last week's poetry prompt was "When the Night Whispers Your Name." So obviously we're gonna start this week's episode with that. Yeah, let's go. I listen closer. I wonder if it's a thought, a memory, or a longing. Then I pause and smile. Maybe it's just a moment you remembered me. How funny that would be. Could you feel my thoughts? I wonder how often you heard your name. I wondered why I only heard whispers of you in the dark of night and never in the light of day. Maybe you were there. I was better at running away. Maybe I had that backwards. It's been so long, one wouldn't say. Missed suppers, birthdays, funeral, laughs and tears. Ghosts and memories linger with a dash of fear. Imagine the value of a connection that could end up here. When the night whispers your name, I say hello now. But your ghost never responds because it only knows your name, not the sensation of your breath or the sound of your voice. And maybe that means there will always be things that can't be replicated after all. Maybe you don't know how to be yourself anymore. The mirror cracks, the reflection different. It's me. I heard your name, but it was me. My reflection, something I didn't know. Yeah, so we're gonna keep on moving. So as every time, we just go to the next page and we prep for what's gonna be at the end of this episode. How have you guys been? Right. So catch up. Project Hail Mary, phenomenal book. Yet to watch the movie. Um, I might be a reader. I'm concerned. Uh, the second thing is I still owe you guys a Sushi.B episode. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do some Sushi.B Rex in the music Rex today, and then I'm going to do the standard music recommendation because this definitely needs to happen at some point. The playlist is Chef's Kiss, delicious. It's the yummiest thing. I keep listening to it. It's very fun. If you haven't, there's a QR code. Scan it, use your friend's phone, do something. Try. It's fun. I hope you guys have been writing. It's weird. It's still weird, even though I have to take time to do it. It's very interesting taking pause and just letting what's in my head run. Um, hmm. How have things been? For real, for real, for real. Again, that's a very simple question that I think not enough people ask because I think more people want to tell the answer to the right people, not to everybody, which is very, very interesting. But how have you been? Are you hoarding stuff? Are you quiet? Are you soft? Are you loud and ostentatious? Are you conniving and planning things? What is it that is on your agenda? You don't have to say it to me. Just keep your answer there to yourself, but answer the question honestly and truthfully. Um, have you tried anything new? Is there anything that you want to try that you should do? Try it. I recommend that you give it a try. I've been trying new things. It is weird. It's making the connection thing feel easier, but it is much, much scarier because of the obvious unknown that has to be experienced. But climbing into the unknown is not necessarily the wrong thing, it's just unfamiliar. So that's why we're trying. So the new thing that you want to do, give it a try, whatever it is. Fail forward. That's kind of what we're doing this year, right? Um, Consistency and action, right? Two very, very interesting things. They have been the metric for comfort, metric for safety, metric for growth, metric for consistency. In and of itself is a metric which doesn't make a lot of sense. But I think I'm definitely trying to get more people to lean into being who it is that they are, even if that doesn't necessarily make sense to them yet. There's still a little bit of lies in the air, but it's fine. It's not Everything is not our business. We take things in stride and we move forward. I do have another new book that I'm going to read. I haven't started it yet. It is another one of Orson Scott Card's books, the continuation in that series, which is going to be interesting. And yeah, okay, brain change, topic change, right? Um, so there's a lot going on that isn't necessarily bond based. It's just life stuff going on, and that life stuff is getting in the way of a lot of life normally, as it should. And I'm noticing that there is a certain sense of intentionality that is it makes the world responsive, which is very interesting to me because I thought a lot of people, I thought particularly a lot of spaces have given up on the connection aspect of a lot of things, and that doesn't necessarily make sense to me because that's one of the things that I get bored with if I try and socialize. But in trying to be a little bit more intentional and on purpose, what's ending up happening is people are finding out things about themselves, and that's been very very interesting to witness. Um, but it's also a matter of we have we have to want to whatever it is that we're doing, whatever it is that we're growing through. I think we have to want to, and sometimes I think many people forget that little fact because if we forget how to want to, um, direction kind of disappears, and then we become characters in other people's stories. And it's very very interesting when that happens because sometimes it's just because there's a narrator, there's just a direction, there's an end of the story that's been taken into account. And I wonder if I wonder if we can recognize that the ends we perceive are not necessarily the ends we should experience. There could be different ways that things go, and the only way to get there is to grow through it, which is not as straightforward as it may sound. I've been speaking lots about the earth lately in terms of like sand and soil and stuff like that. And there's obviously all of the analogies about when the world gets dark, maybe you've been planted, you're a seed, blah 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 blah. But the way that my brain has taken the analogy is generally when a tree is planted in the wrong location, people go to speak about the hands that planted it, that were the flaw. And if I look at plants and genetics of plants and stuff like that, the traits that get passed on kind of happen based on these adult plants that have figured out a way to survive these conditions. And I imagine I imagine that sometimes we forget how different we are. So something as simple as a difference in soil can affect growth, and being better suited for something doesn't necessarily speak to anything outside of the environment, which is a very, very interesting thing to me because it's something people learn to have an effect on. But for a very long time, I think a lot of people are at the mercy of the world at large. And it's very interesting to experience how people have gone through that experience. Whether or not they are aware of it is a whole nother conversation, but it's something that I think has affected a lot of people, and I'm learning to be I'm learning to be amazed by the very simple. By the simpler something can be, the more the more surprised and amazed I am at the result of it coming out effortlessly, straightforwardly, whatever it is that it's going to be. And oh, this thing's so irritating. And I wonder if it's because of a transition that's completing itself, or if it's a transition that's starting. And it doesn't seem to be an extremely relevant thing, if I have to be very honest. I think it's merely the existence of the awareness of the thought that I'm interested in, because it's changing the way that I'm interacting with everybody else, because of the fact that I'm having ideas about connections that don't exist yet. And I'd rather take those connections and actively create them, and witness those things expand on themselves, and see life, as simple as it may sound, as silly as it may sound. Because I've been noticing that you can't argue an overlap. An overlap is going to occur naturally. It happens. It's been happening my whole life. So it's an experience that I'm familiar with. But generally, there's also a certain semblance of fear that hides within that thought of mine. And I think it's interesting that I'm trying to conquer that in a moving, failing forward direction, because it helps me understand me, which is important, but it also helps me understand everybody else, which is also important. Hmm. So yeah, people, hmm, the world is becoming important. It's a very interesting uh, experience to go through again, because I don't understand how that changed, when it changed, and what it became. That's also something that's interesting to me. So I'm attempting to step again on purpose. Again, the rock analogy from 3 episodes back. It is not necessarily focusing on the path that is most correct. It is merely focusing on the piece of the path that can be seen. And that's very interesting to me, because if I if I trust the step, if I trust my legs, I trust my feet, I trust my footing. Um, it seems like simple things to trust, but when you factor in conditions, when you factor in the wetness of rocks, and when you factor in the mold and the algae and the salt that has crusted the rock, all of these things that affect this decision, they they just resemble other things in life, in my opinion. In every decision I've made, there's always 5 or 6 different things that sometimes I do consider and sometimes I don't. And whether it be the desire to be an overthinker because I don't want to be an underthinker, whether it is trauma, whether it is fear, whether it is uncertainty, whether it is a desire for certainty, whatever that may be, that singular set of thinking is something that to me has become something I can rely on. So I get frustrated if I interact with a world that doesn't seem to need that, but that's ego, which doesn't pay attention to the fact that every single person is learning their own way to do this thing. And I am learning that half of the battle is wanting to, back to that. And the wanting to puts you in a position where you realize that on the flip side, maybe it's not as fun to hear what it is that you want to say. Maybe it's not as fun or as interesting to the next person, but it's very peculiar to me to see how interest affects that, as well as how, if curiosity was a measure for the strength of something, I think it would be a very, very interesting way to pick who is paying attention and who isn't. Because curiosity, questions inspire something exciting, man. And when the ability for for questions to happen disappears, I think I think it's a very sad day in any point. It's a very, very bad day. But there's also fun in the what basic simplicity of silences. But I'm realizing that there's a very big potential. I don't know the rules of the game in the quiet space. I don't think I don't think enough people read body language to say that they understand silences as much as they do, and that irritates the out of me. Yeah, it's a weird one, but it's innocent. I'm not in volatility or aggression. I think I've realized that if everybody is trying to figure it out, everybody, whether you know it or not, something can spin you. Um, that little imaginary self-imposed pressure that comes from that little voice, that becomes something that instead of wrestling it and having this fight with oneself internally, it has become a it has almost become a north star for the moments that I inflict my own direction on myself. When I hear that voice and it does that little rant that it does, I think it has become a matter of you don't have to be upset about the fact that things are not going the way that you want them to. You need to understand the fact that you need to do the things that you must do because that training, that training arc of what it is that you are going through, is relevant. And you know, if there was ever a better time to transition to an anime recommendation, it was this moment. There is an anime called Jack of All Trades, which is it is the it's such a peculiar thing that I think too many people have gone through betrayal, and I think it's a very interesting way that someone has taken this betrayal story and flipped it on its head because yo yeah you might not think you're a special individual and you might think that you are moving at a level that is unreachable or untouchable by anybody, but yo you can be humbled quick, eh? Yo, you can be humbled quickly. And if you're not paying attention and you're not, I don't know, man, if you're not moving correctly, the world has a way, the universe has a way of making that circle around so quickly that you won't believe that you went the direction that you went. And I think I think I'm getting to the place in my life at my age, whatever that means, um, in my life stages where I think I'm finally understanding what has become important to me. Because it's stuff that was not necessarily the most important thing to me. But now there are things that I think are the most relevant and I need to hold on to them with everything in me because it's gonna materialize because I'm gonna make it so. And on that note, I need to say thank you to all of you. My goodness, guys. Like, I don't think anybody understands that this is it's a very weird space for me because most people tell me I talk too much and I need to shut the hell up. It's a very, very interesting thing. And they don't necessarily say it in that many words, but that's what my ears hear. And sure, maybe I do. Maybe I do. Maybe it really is just the way that I connect and that's all that it's about. And maybe that's enough of what it is for it to be relevant. Even if I talk garbage, even if I'm talking trash. So I do want to say thank you because of the fact that we have almost touched the 1,000 mark. Now, realistically, at any point where you achieve a goal, you are supposed to take time to celebrate. So Cheers is what I'll say. We've celebrated, right? Okay, on to the next goal. Okay, now this took long ish. This is about 7 or 8 months that the traction has kind of picked up a little bit, with moments in the middle that were a little bit outstanding. So thank you for that. Um, I'm not gonna say we're chasing a number. In my head, I need to figure out two things. So one, um, there's a very big potential that I could record the episode live and then still do the standard post, but I need to understand what in the world that looks like, because based on past experience, live performances are not a simple thing, and there's always all kinds of technical difficulty and all of that. So that could be a little bit frustrating. But I don't even understand if this is something that people want to, interact with. So that's question number one. Question number two is, if the live becomes a thing, then I need a split second where that's the only thing I'm focusing on. Like, I need to give that some attention. So if you guys could make some suggestions for what it is that you want to talk about, or how it is that we could talk about different things, that's also fine. Like, I'm game for. I had a thought about voice notes being submitted, so I just need to get a phone number for the podcast. But that's a potential thing. Or the like confession style thing where you submit your stories. If that is the case, I'm gonna send you over to a website to do that, but that's something we'll speak about at a later point. And yeah, if that ends up making sense and that ends up being the direction that things go, um, that'll be the live section. Da, da, da. And still, we need to do the 20-30 minute kind of segment thingy. It's a little bit demanding, and I don't think that everybody's going to have time the way that I'm going to think it. So I'm also going to need time suggestions. Like the moment that would make the most sense for me to record it, um, most agreed upon date wins. Okay. We'll probably do like a voting system thing. But that's where my brain is for now. Thank you in advance. I will. They said if you ask for stuff, you'll like most likely get an answer. So do that. Thank you for everybody that's been sharing, speaking about it, all of that. It is baffling to me myself. I'm still getting used to hearing my own voice and seeing my face on social media. It's a little bit weird still, but we're here and we're doing it, and this is a long term thing. So it's going to be a couple of years that this is the goal. And yeah, okay. Let's get into music. Okay, so our music recommendations. Okay, so the actually, let me do the Sushi.B sticky quickly. Um, okay, these are all from the exact same album, and the album's name is Senor Sushi. Sushi. Yeah. Okay. So technically, one of the songs that were dropped in December was Stella, which is Intombiyam in Sono. That is also, if I butcher names, I'm so sorry. This is like gonna be a thing that's gonna happen. Um, Hingi Hingi Kukumbula is also another phenomenal track. Hingi ya Kweza Konka. The music is lovely here. And then Ubaba Wako is also nice. Oh, there's so much good music. The Bolayami. India Yazi is also a banger of a track. This whole album is nice, guys. Just add the whole album to your thing. I'm gonna pick my pieces off of there. I've said most of what it is that I am gonna add on. I might make a couple of adjustments here and there. And then I am going to do the normal song editions. The music is also, I'm gonna try and keep it on trend with the current feeling of where the playlist is. Uh, the the first edition that we are gonna do this week is going to be 55 by Devin Donnell. I'm just gonna blast through them because the music is gonna fit perfectly. I'm so happy about it. Then I'm gonna do Broke with Time by Page Four, and that's followed up by Temptations by Jay Safari. Then I'm gonna do Favorite Jeans by Jay Vino and Free Party because that is delicious music. And then the last, there's three more. Okay, let's just give all three. Okay, then we're gonna add a track called Promise, but we're gonna go with the Saturna remix. So that's Saturna and Hak Joris, and then we are gonna do Everlasting by Domini, City Hendrix, K Camp, DC Young Fly, and that is for Everlasting Part 2. And then our last song for this week is going to be How Can't You Tell by Elijah. Okay, so again, we've we're all over the place, but we are Gucci, man. We find it, whether it's on shuffle or cover to cover, it's been working. So have your fun with that. And then we also need to prep to do our writing prompt. So let's open that. And yeah, in my head, this is exactly how the live is going to go. I'm going to try and keep it as close to this as possible because, yeah, that's pretty much what we got, right? Poetry. Okay, so this week for our poetry prompt, we're gonna go we're gonna go with a different style of poetry prompt. I'm very curious. Okay, imagine the moon is keeping a secret from you. What is it? Okay, it's a bit of a weird one, bit of a vague one. I'm curious to see what is it that I'm gonna do with that. But yeah, it's been fun. It's been interesting. I hope you've been engaged. If not, tell me I'm talking crap. If you've enjoyed yourself, tell me you've enjoyed yourself. If it made sense, please let me know that it made sense. As always, tell your friends, friends. Stay curious, stay kind, stay connected. TOC out.